87 of Coffee and MTG, the morning Magic talk show, where if you got questions, oh, you better believe that I'm going to bring the answers. We're going to have a great discussion today, and also we do decklist reviews on this show. So if you need some feedback on your brew, if you need to take your deck, turn it into a pile of rubble, turn it into, I don't know, some killing machine, you can submit it. You can submit the deck on this show. We'll give you the feedback between myself and the community. We all have the answers and we'll help you. So welcome. And if wherever you are in this world, if it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, good morning and or good afternoon, good evening. And let's have a great conversation. Brew up your cup of magic. Let's have some fun. And give you 420 already here. Good morning. Good morning, a Grim Ducky, and good morning, Satomane. And I believe I'm going to make this announcement again, but we are definitely going to have a new time slot for this show starting tomorrow. Sorry to spring that up on everyone, but it's going to start tomorrow. So I would like to welcome our new time slot. We're gonna start the show 2 hours earlier from now on for the foreseeable future, probably for the next 4 months. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, it'll still be at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. So I'll make that announcement again because it is so important that people need to know. Yeah, praise the sun. More people will see it when they join the show. Good morning, Shadow Walker. All right, so how long are we going to talk about Confounding Conundrum today? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I said what I needed to say yesterday in both on my Nikachu MTG channel and also the Coffee and MTG show. So what's that in New York time? Well, I don't know. This is Central Standard Time, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, CST. You could just go like 9 o'clock CST into New York time into Google. It's smart. Google knows everything. I'm a recent follower to your channel. Is this how you normally start your streams? What do you mean? I start the morning shows like this. Central Standard Time is the one behind the East Coast. We got more stinky merfolk. Yeah, I know. We got more merfolk. Most definitely, we're going to be talking more about Zendikar Rising previews. Central Standard Time equals fake time. It's not the real time. Yeah, turn 1 crab, turn 2 crab fetch, crab fetch glimpse. Not looking forward to that. Yeah, so they where is the here? Let's go look for Zendikar spoilers. I like Mythic Spoiler, however, they're not up to date so quickly. So let's take a look at there's a new crab out there. So Ruin Crab, 0/3 landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. Now this is very similar to Hedron Crab. So I guess it was a Hedron, and then it turned into a ruin. Whatever, the Hedron was ruined. But the thing with the Hedron Crab was that whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. I think this is significantly more broken than this one because Ruin Crab can't target yourself. So you're not going to be able to get those synergies that you get from like what's it called? Like Vengevine and Gravecrawler and Hogak. I mean, this was played in Hogak. In fact, a lot of the tournament winning lists were playing with Hedron Crab because you can I don't know, is it Hedron or Hedron? Someone help me here. I don't know for sure one way or another. But the point is, I think this card is way more dangerous. I'm not too concerned about mill being like a very serious strategy. Very unlikely that thing is going to really take off because it's like, okay, I will admit this is going to be way harder to interact with in some ways. You can still kill these damn creatures, you know, like First off, they play a land, they fetch, in response, kill a creature, and then they don't get the landfall trigger. Say he drawn. Sounds good enough for me. So as more people start pouring in, Mikey J says, the more Merfolk they print, the worse it gets. Good morning, Dexter Johnson. We need to be done with DST already, says Lockhart. Mill basically gets a super counterspell? Really? I have not seen that one. New blue enchantment is broken, man. Oh yeah, we talked about it. We talked all about it yesterday. I know I also have a dedicated video on Confounding Conundrum. I'm the one spreading all the information about how it's broken. So you can check that out on my Nikachu MTG channel. I mean, it's a fresh video. I go over every single way that this thing is busted. Well, I mean, I don't know. You know, a lot of... I can see the argument for why it's broken, and I outlined that. But there's going to be a lot of games where, for example, if you don't play a land drop for the turn, like, how is your opponent going to punish you? So, like, you know, if you don't play a land drop for the turn and your opponent path exiles your creature, okay, then you just get a land, and it's as if this card did nothing at all. If you don't play a land drop for the turn, then Ghost Quarter and Field of Ruin don't actually do anything. So it's... So, I mean, I see the downside. The downside is enormous. But, I mean, of course, there's no upside. But actually playing this card out might not be that bad. So that's why we have to see how this card is actually going to play out. The only scary thing is it's a complete free roll for, like, people to try to play this thing because it draws a card. Like, there's no cost to... There's not a really big deck building cost to playing this card. You just throw it in. It draws a card, and like you don't lose anything for trying, basically, because it'll just replace itself. It might as well just be like a just another random cantrip in a deck. Yeah, no self-mill, but it does mill 50% more of a card. Yeah, but it's also more vulnerable because there's more removal. When we're talking about these crabs are way more vulnerable than say like a mill spell, because you literally need to counter that. Whereas with these the crabs, you can just kill them with removal. And it's still in bolt range and stuff like that. Good morning, Ugly Hood Rat. By the way, if you have any questions, if you want to be part of this discussion, don't forget you can go 3 question marks. Don't forget you can go list 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question. Helps me find your questions so that they can get answered. Or you can go at Nikachu MTG. That's totally fine too. More Merfolk's on the way. Sort of. Like, we sort of got Merfolk on the way. What do we got here? Oh, here's a Merfolk. Seafloor Stalker. A 2/3 for 3 mana. 5 mana, you can get +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked. It costs 1. The ability costs 1 less to activate for each creature in your party. Useless. Absolutely useless. So this is new. Risen Riptide. So I guess this was taken from the factory, given the really blurry, poor image quality. Whenever you cast a kicked spell, Risen Riptide has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. That's pretty strong, but it needs to be in a deck with a lot of kickers. Makindi Ox. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. That's pretty strong, but it's 5 mana, so it's useless. Field Researcher. You can draw 2 cards, or for 6 mana, draw 3. Sort of useless. Anti-Cognition. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 2. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, instead counter that spell, then scry 2. This is not that great. I don't know what this does. Ooh, another Merfolk. Expedition Diviner. Flying. As long as you control another wizard, Expedition Diviner has whenever this creature dies, draw a card. This sort of sucks. This is the flash creature. This is Shell Shield. There's another Merfolk that got spoiled. Where is it? Oh yeah, this one. The land. Umara. This is not... well, I don't know if this... I doubt that this thing will see play. So it could be a blue land that enters the battlefield tapped. Remember, cannot fetch this out. It's not actually an island. Umara Skyfalls. Or you can play 5 mana 4/3 creature, which, by the way, is not that bad. If you are flooding out late in the game and you just need some random top deck, being able to put a 4-power creature on the battlefield is actually where you want to be. The problem is I don't know if that's going to compensate for the fact that this land comes into play tapped like all the time. I mean, sure, yeah, you can play the wizard half of this thing, or sorry, the Merfolk half, but this land entering like at least with what's it called, Fairy Conclave, you can activate an attack with it earlier than you will with Umara, and also with Fairy Conclave, it dodges sweepers, like it dodges Ugin, it dodges everything, whereas this will not. So it's a tough call. Very tough call. Hell, I guess you could like put the vial to 5 and then flash this thing in. Wouldn't be that bad. Are there any cards people find notable in the spoiler? I mostly look at the blue. I mostly look at the blue cards because it's the blue cards that matter to me the most. So, good morning everyone who just showed up. Good morning, Gus. Good morning, Direwolf. Good morning, Jundecide. And while everyone is getting here, I would love to thank my sponsors, starting with the manabase.com, the content site where you can learn about Commander, Modern, Standard, Historic, Legacy, Pioneer, and more. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is... Oops. The Manabase is sponsored, the sponsor of the sponsor, by Fusion Gaming Online. And of course, Fusion Gaming Online is my favorite local game store. And they always have some deal of the week. And the deal of the week right now is Theros Beyond Death singles, 15% off. So if there's anything from that set that you're interested in, maybe get yourself a Croxa or something like that, go check out Fusion Gaming. And also, just keep in mind, it's a Canadian site. It's a Canadian local game store, so their prices are going to be in Canadian. Just keep that in mind. It's not U.S. pricing. Do the conversion, people. And we're also going to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can subscribe with my coupon code Nikachu to get 20% off your first 3 months. We're going to thank Mana Traders for being our sponsor. Good morning, Thai Iced Tea. Fairy Conclave also doesn't require you to use Deprive. Also, well, I mean, you don't need Deprive with this land, but you actually bring up a very interesting point. I mean, for example, let's get back to this card, the Umara Wizard. There is the potential that you can play this, and then you deprive something at some point, bring Umara Skyfalls back to your hand, replay it as a Merfolk Wizard. There's always that possibility. What is Umara? Is that the name or is that a tribe? Umara Wizard. Are the blue duels relevant? I wouldn't say so. You're talking about the the lands that could be either like a blue or a red. Okay, well, so let's take Clearwater Path for example. Clearwater Path could be Murkwater Pathway. I don't think... So you can try one or the other. I don't think these are going to be very playable in Modern at all because it gets hit by Blood Moon. You can't fetch them. So I really don't see the strategic significance of this. The mana is so good in Modern that I don't think these are... I don't think these are going to see play. Like, I don't see upside. I only see downside with these cards. Now, if we talk Pioneer, if we talk Historic, these lands could be very good because their mana bases are not perfect, especially for Pioneer. Pioneer is really looking for those Jeskai cards. It's like, what are they missing? I think they're missing like Sacred Foundry. Like a Sacred Foundry-like land. Do we have one? Is this the red one? No. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe they haven't been spoiled yet, or maybe they're just not on here. But the point is, oh, good morning, Time Binder. Well, maybe it just hasn't been spoiled. Why isn't there an Azorius one? I don't know. We just gotta wait for we just have to wait to see if they're going to spoil it. Maybe they're going to have all the lands. Or, what's the set after this? So there's 6 of them, 3 allied, 3 enemy. The set contains 6 of these lands. Well, that sucks. I don't understand Wizards giving us imperfect mana bases. Like we have to wait like 3 more years to get the other half of the cycle. I mean, I think that's very stupid. Oh, the 4 dual lands are missing next set. So is the next set another Zendikar set? I don't know the timeline of the sets. We discussed Merfolk Windrobber quite a bit yesterday. Basically, the flying, it needs to be play tested, but for the most part, it doesn't interact with the board. I'll quickly get to Merfolk Windrobber. Where's our Windrobber? There it is. So the problem with this card is that, so first off, being flying is not that important. We already have Merfolk that are just strictly unblockable for 1 blue. Putting your opponent's cards into the graveyard is a huge liability. It's going to be disastrous against like Uro decks, Jund decks. They use Crocs and Scamjingoos and Tarmogoyf and Renin 6. It's going to be terrible against Dredge. So that's bad. Now, I do like that it can block flyers. That's useful. That has always been useful for Merfolk. The most important thing is drawing a card when the opponent has 8 cards in the graveyard going to be relevant. Because drawing cards is not important. Power is important. Interacting with the battlefield is important. Cards in our hand do not matter. Or does not matter as much. So we'll have to see if this thing is going to make a difference. I do like that, we never played with a naturally unblockable creature. So anyway, this will be interesting to see how that shakes out. But now, getting back to the lands, there are... Well, like that sucks. We already have blue-red in quite a few blue-red lands in Pioneer. But the point is, Pioneer and Historic can use more lands. They could always use more lands. So I think that this sort of land is going to see play in those formats. And they don't have fetch lands anyway. So it's not like it's something you want to fetch because you don't have that option. And there's no Blood Moon. So if there's no Blood Moon, there's no liability to play these lands. So in Modern, I would doubt that these cards are going to see any play at all. But outside of Modern, if we look at Pioneer and Historic, I think there could be seeing a lot of play. Mero said the rest of the cycle will be coming very soon. All right, so that's good. So it's probably going to be coming maybe the next set, maybe the set after that. My theory is that there were supposed to be 5, but the print sheet needed an extra double-sided card. Vikings are the next set. Oh, really? And I think they're going to bring back snow themes from that set. So we don't know anything, but based on like the name, the Viking set, what's it called? Was there any... Do you think Skyclave Apparition could be played in some sort of Historic or Pioneer Spirits deck? Okay, hold on. What was it called? Skyclave. Yes. Yes, I do believe so. This card actually looks pretty good because you exile the card, and they don't even get the card back if you destroy Skyclave Apparition. They only get like an illusion creature back equal to the converted mana cost of the card that you got rid of. Skyclave Apparition looks very playable. Very, very, very playable. I don't know if there are any... so Mikey J says... Where's Mikey J? No, hold on. Where's your other comment? Are there any Merfolk in Viking mythology? I don't know, but you know what? They're always on the water. So I don't know if there's any Merfolk in their mythology, but, I can't imagine that, given that these people travel the waters, that they can ignore the Merfolk. That card looks nice with Flicker Wisp. Maybe. I guess if they get rid of the Skyclave Apparition, you can just blink away their token and kill it. What colors you think the Thor card will be? Bet on Boros? Absolutely. I would definitely bet on Boros. You know what? You could maybe Jeskai. Maybe Jeskai. Well, okay, like, hold on. Or maybe is it? Okay, definitely red, right? Like, there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, I'm thinking of Keranos might be like a Thor-like card, and that was is it? Okay, I do not know how to spell Keranos. There we go. Keranos, god of storms. Now I know Thor is like not really a storm god, but he's got a hammer. Actually, maybe I'm maybe I'm out of here. I'm out to lunch here. Maybe this is the wrong comparison. Thor is a hammer person, less of a Zeus character. Keranos is based on Zeus, so I have no idea. I don't know. I take it to everybody else. What are the colors of Thor? They get no token, and you can exile 2 things from the opponent when vialing in Flicker Wisp on the trigger. Is that how this is going to work? When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent you don't control with converter mana cost 4 or less. When it leaves the battlefield, oh yeah, okay, so you can really screw someone. It's not all in one word, so these are 2 separate things. When it leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an... Well, I mean, there's always cards gimmicky like this that you could take advantage of, so... but yeah, you're right. Flicker Wisp actually will nail it, because you can play the Skyclave Apparition, target something, flicker your Skyclave Apparition, leaves the battlefield, so the thing that's going to get apparitioned in the first place disappears forever. Skyclave Apparition comes back into play, targets another thing. Norse mermaids are called Selkies, apparently. So Merfolk already had Cold Eye Selkie. Yeah, there are Selkies in Magic, so that's good. we might have a chance at more Merfolk. Hopefully a useful one. You know, is it out of the question that we could get like a Merfolk like Thoughtseize? Like even 2 mana Merfolk, a 2 mana Grizzly Bear enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand, take something. Thor is a Zeus character. Both are lightning gods and heads of their pantheons with daddy issues. The anthologies aren't 1-to-1, but you have to remember these people were constantly interacting with each other and borrowing and tatting mythologies. All right, so maybe I'm not out to lunch when it comes to that Keranos thing. So the point is, I think definitely red for Thor. I want to say blue, but could be Boros. Could be Boros, could be Jeskai. Would be very surprised if it was like if there was green or black in there. Merfolk with Piracy Charm stapled onto it. That wouldn't be too bad, actually. Now, Piracy Charm is like on a list of cards I'm waiting to be good. Does anyone even know what this card does? Piracy Charm is a... You're going to look at this and you're going to be like, that's modern legal? Yeah, it is modern legal. All right, so for 1 blue, it's an instant. Perfectly accurately costed card. Target creature gains Island Walk until end of turn, or target creature gets +2/-1 until end of turn, or target creature, or target player discards a card. So you have the ability to make your opponent discard a card, especially if it's a good card in their hand. You also... The Island Walk thing is not very important. I mean, maybe in some niche situations it will come up. The best part of this card is this +2/-1. So you can deal extra points of damage with your creatures if necessary. Or you can kill 1 toughness creatures, which I think is like utmost important. Really, really strong. Unfortunately, there aren't nearly as many like unfortunately, there isn't nearly as many, what's it called, like mana dorks in the metagame right now. But if there were, Piracy Charm would be amazing. Flesh and Blood. Are you talking about the card game, or is there a card called Flesh and Blood? Sounds like they would have made a card like this by now. No, I've not played. I'm now familiar with the card. I do not play it, but I think you're referring to the card game. No, I do not play this card game. I am more than occupied with Magic at the moment. Way more than occupied. The only other game that I play outside of Magic right now is basically chess. I still play chess pretty regularly. I'm still of the opinion that Wizards wants us to play Merfolk differently, given the cards they print. I think it was beat down / tempo at first, and now I feel like it's mainly mill with hints of disruption. And the problem is the mill is useless. Like, these mill cards are stupid. Like, they're completely, utterly useless. Mill is not a winning strategy for the most part. We're gonna see like what this new crab does to the archetype. I mean, let's be serious. For the most part, it's not. It's a struggling archetype. I mean, they have a million mill cards. I mean, Wizards has been pumping out mill cards for eternity because mill is like a reliable, relevant strategy in limited, but it's useless in constructed. Late. I'll catch up later. Yeah, no problem. And remember, you can still watch these replays on Nikachu MTG streams. That's my new, what do I call it? My sister channel to Nikachu MTG. All of the streams go to Nikachu MTG streams. I don't have a link on Twitch to show you where it is, but you can still find it on YouTube if you want to. All replays and also my daily gameplay videos are all going to be found on Nikachu MTG streams. Well, yeah, of course, the replay is not nearly as fun. Where was that comment? Yeah, the replay isn't nearly as fun. You want to be here live. And now that I have a good density of people, I want to remind everyone that the time of Coffee and MTG is changing. It is changing. Coffee and MTG is now going to be on Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. 9 o'clock. So 2 hours earlier than usual. So basically we're already halfway through this show. So for 2.5 hours earlier from now is going to be the new start of the show for the next 3 to 4 months. I have no idea what it is in your time zone. Just like, okay, the show started 30 minutes from now, and then just wind the clock back 2 hours, and then that's what it is. Google is very good at converting these. Very, very good at converting these. So just keep in mind, it's the show is changing, and therefore my gameplays are still going to be following after the show, but the gameplays are only on Mondays and Wednesdays because I'm going to be going back to school this fall. So I got to make time for that. Still want to do the morning show as long as you people keep showing up, and I have a good reception. Look at that. We have 64 people here. That's fantastic. People want to learn about Zendikar spoilers. Zendikar spoilers. And if there's anything you want to specifically talk about, then that's good. So this is really going to become a morning talk show soon. Yeah, we love the show. So I got positive feedback from Ghash. Super online pro Ghash. That's when I wake up. Great, you can wake up to the morning show. Remember, if anyone has any questions, 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after, or Nikachu, at me at Nikachu MTG helps me find your questions in the sea of comments that we have here, or at least it'll give me a better chance of finding it. Okay, 5x5. I did notice you pinned my comment, and I was wondering what your thought about Conundrum being symmetrical, and has your opinion changed? Okay, so what did I pin your comment? I might have replied to the comment. So the thing about, let's get back to this. Where is this sweet card? This agonizing card. Okay, Confounding Conundrum. So Confounding Conundrum, my biggest problem with this card is that it is asymmetrical. It only affects one side. Now, people give the counter argument that if it was symmetrical, the card would be much more dangerous because someone could try to take advantage of the fact that they're bouncing lands back to their hand. Like if you're in a Azusa deck, you might want to bounce lands back to your hand because every single time you bounce a land, you get to tap it for mana and then return it to your hand. So here's the deal. I think if it was symmetrical, they could word it differently, and that would be if the second land enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield tapped instead of untapped, and I think that would make this card fair. You would just have to word it differently if it was still busted, even if it was symmetrical, because as it is, it might be too much. Hey, what does Ghash think? Ghash, what do you think of this card, Confounding Conundrum? Is this as dangerous as the community thinks, or is this worthless? Are we overreacting? I can't tell by looking at it. Because if no one plays any land drops, it's not dangerous. You love it? Is this going to be dangerous? Is this ban worthy? Are we in for like misery? I think it's going to be a huge deal in sideboards. I think it's going to be a huge deal in main decks. So Ghash is a huge fan of this card. Probably a 4 of in standard, and I look forward to using it in modern. Because this card, in combination with Field of Ruin, this is going to be a problem. This is gonna be an annoying problem. There's gonna be a lot of situations where you're gonna have like very few lands in play. You're gonna constantly be choked. Yeah, I think modern it's main deckable and modern for sure. Well, that's not good. If Ghash thinks this card is good, we're gonna be in for some trouble. There's definitely a lot of decks that can run this. So, but the point is, I think it's unfair, asymmetrical, and I think you can word it differently. You can make this effect symmetrical, but you can word it differently so that all additional lands beyond the first come into play tapped, so no one can abuse it. No one can abuse it. If I'm a ramp deck and you use that card against me, it will hurt you more than me. Really? You think so? Okay, we're gonna see, because you know what? This opinion is very popular as well, saying, you know what, this is not actually that good against the ramp decks. You know, it's gonna help the ramp decks more than it hurts the other decks. I can totally see I can see that happening, pending the ramp deck, you know, and pending the lands that you put into play and the stuff that you want to bounce back to your hand. Yeah, it makes Path very good, assuming a land already entered the battlefield. Like that's the thing. It's more situational than it looks. Because if the opponent doesn't play a land drop at all, then your Field of Ruins and your Ghost Quarters and your Path to Exiles are just going to act as normal, unless you can force more than that. Direwolf, absolutely, we do decklist reviews today. And we can actually segue into that. So I'll still answer some questions, but if you have any decklist that you want to submit today, don't forget, you go ! deck review space, give the URL to the deck that you want reviewed, and leave any comments. Tell me the format, tell me what problems you have, tell me if it's budget or not. All these things help me and also help the community, help fix the problems that you need in your deck. Give feedback, give very useful constructive feedback. It doesn't work like that, Dire Wolf. You got to go ! deck what is it, deck review? You got to go ! deck review. That's how it works around here, because what you end up doing is you're being put in a pool to be selected at random. There's a script on here, or there's a bot that selects your deck list at random. See, if you want your questions answered, you give me the question marks. If you want your deck list reviewed, you got to do the ! Absolutely, we do decklist review on this show. Blue-white taxes renamed to blue-white Ponza. Yeah, exactly. Amulet deck was what I was thinking to break it. Only if you have Amulet out, right? I think if you don't have Amulet out, it doesn't help, because you really need the trigger to untap the land. Or does that even work? Let's say it's your turn. Yeah, I guess that might work, because the thing about the triggers is that your Amulet trigger on your turn is going to resolve last. Confounding Conundrum will resolve first, which means you got to bounce a land back to your hand before it resolves. So I don't think you're going to make nearly as much mana as you think you are, because you can play one of those Karoo lands, and with the Amulet trigger on the stack, Confounding Conundrum also goes on the stack. Resolves first, you got to bounce a land back to your hand, but if you bounce the Karoo land, then it's not in play anymore to like get the mana. So you may not it works because you don't have to bounce the land you played. That's true, but then how do you get value out of this? because now you have, well, I mean, I guess you can replay a land and then put the Karoo land back in hand. It will be a bit clunky, but it will work. But it has to be, you need to have Amulet in play, which in that case, you're like pretty far ahead anyway. Yeah, a second Karoo land would work if you got that available. Pawns of Merfolk with Conundrum? Probably not. Like, our best Pawns of plan is like Seas Claim and what's it called? Spreading Seas. It works, that works a lot better than this. And if we still play with Spreading Seas, they can just bounce the land that has the Spreading Seas on it. It won't work so well. You don't need Amulet, just 2 untapped lands? No, you need Amulet. If you only have 2 untapped lands and you play a Karoo land, and you want to play another land, it's like, it's not going to get you anywhere because you're going to keep constantly bouncing lands back to your hand. Like, you don't go anywhere, basically. No problem, Direwolf. Don't worry. We're all very relaxed here. Yeah, Boomerang is good. Blue-green pawns are using choke and seize claim effects. Now that's nuts. Okay, I think I can start selecting deck lists. If you have still a deck list to submit, you can still do it, and you'll be eligible in the future pools. So, deck review, pick. This is really fancy, actually. Got to thank again to Nick101 for creating this for us. Okay, Rielni's deck has been chosen. Budget, I need a sideboard for my local meta is mostly humans. 8-rack, Burn, and Tron. That is an awkward number of decks we have to beat, but okay. Simic Infect, you have problems against Tron? So we need to beat... It's budget, but we need to beat humans, 8-rack, Burn, and Tron. Okay. Well, you're playing... Okay, you have 1 Noble Hierarch. Gotcha. All right, so what do we got here? Apostle's Blessing, Groundswell, Might of Ulcroza, Mutagenic Growth, 3 Spell Pierce, 4 Vines of Vastwood, Blighted Agent, 4 Glistener Elf, 1 Noble Hierarch, 2 Spellskite, Distortion Strike, and Scale Up. Okay, so first off, are you playing with like all the normal, like even infect cards? They do play with some Spell Pierces. They play with 1 Apostle's Blessing. But it's not that common. It's not that big of a deal. And I don't think this is going to help you against Burn. What are we... Hold on. What are we missing here? Hold on, this is 22 instants, 7 sorceries. And these are all good. This is fine. Direwolf Party is likely going to be nothing. Missing the card to make a creature. No, we got it. We got Scale Up here. Scale Up's here. It's got Overload. You can make all your infect creatures big. I'm just wondering what was in place. Maybe you have everything. Scale Up, 26 spells. So what are you missing? Well, you're missing... I mean, you could use another Mana Dork. I don't know if you can afford to have... you don't need Glistener Elf. Sorry, you don't need Noble Hierarch. You could also play with Birds of Paradise. I might go down on some Apostles' Blessings to make room for those Birds of Paradise so that you can play like turn 2 Blighted Agent with Spell Pierce and what's it called? Vines of the Vastwood backup to protect your creatures from burn. Because like it's the thing that kills you against infect is really the mana. The mana is very, very harsh. And you're actually down on mana compared to a normal infect deck. Looks like this list is playing 21 plus 4 mana creatures. You're only playing 20 with 1 mana creature, so you're going to be choked on mana pretty often. I would look to just remove the Apostle's Blessing, or if you really want 1 or 2 of them, you got to cut something else. But I would really just cut the Apostle's Blessing. And hold Hold on, what did you say you had a problem against? Burn, 8-rack, Tron. Yeah, so for example, against Tron, you can probably kill them pretty easily by turn 3 with more mana dorks and have reliable mana. Humans, I don't know what to do for you. Okay, you want a sideboard. So first off, against Tron, that should be one of your best matchups, unless you're talking about Eldrazi Tron, then that's a nightmare. What does Infect normally play? Veil of Summer. That's not going to help your matchups. Spellskite, Weather the Storm, Wilt. Okay, Weather the Storm is a very good card against Burn. Very, very good card. Like, the games where I got, like, I don't know, 12 life, my Burn opponent just simply lost. They just lost on the spot, basically. 3 euro, well, we're talking budget here. That is not very budget at all at $144 for 3 of them, so forget about that. Viridian Corruptor is good. You might be able to bring that one in against Tron because they're going to have a lot of artifacts that you can, like, blow up. Is the list missing Blossoming Defense? Oh yeah, we're missing Blossoming Defense. That's going to help. That's like a better Spell Pierce than Spell Pierce. What does a normal Infect list run here? They only have 2 Distortion Strike. So make some room for Blossoming Defense. This is going to give your creatures hexproof and will help you significantly against Burn to protect your creatures, but also it might help you against 8-rack because they're trying to, like, they're going to have spot removal for your creatures as well. And if the 8-rack deck is also playing, so this is not really a sideboard thing. This is actually a main deck thing. So maybe, what's it called? We're going to add Blossoming Defense to the main deck, put some of your Spell Pierces in the sideboard. Maybe even put the Spellskites in the sideboard. Like, Blossoming Defense is definitely going to be better for attack and protection than Spellskite is. Yeah, it's better than the Sweepers, but there's also... The Sweepers are uncounterable, so who cares? Supreme Verdict is still out there. I've not gone anywhere for Cheeseburger Week, Haunted Machine. So what else can we learn about this sideboard? Mystical... Oh yeah, Mystical Dispute is just a good card in general. But I don't know how many of these cards actually help you to the... Like, I don't know what you can do for... I think it's fine to have Distortion Strike for the humans matchup, but maybe you split them up because you need to make room for so like maybe 1 Distortion Strike in the sideboard because you need to make room for the 4 what's it called, Blossoming Defense that will protect you against humans from Reflector Mage, from Deputy of Detention, while still being able to push a lot, while threatening to kill them with Blighted Agent. And of course, against humans, you can side in the Distortion Strike to help kill them. So it looks like huge plus to this deck would be Blossoming Defense, which is definitely it's basically Apostle's Blessing, right? It's just Apostle's Blessing. Do we have... We don't have the Infect creature. Well, whatever. If you don't have it, you don't have it. I would highly... If I were serious about your deck, and I think you are, I would really go out of my way to get Inkmoth Nexus. I would really try hard. Yeah, it's going to be your largest investment to this deck, but it's going to be the single best investment because it gives you... You're not going to have to mulligan as much. Like, I would... If you have other cards to sell, I would definitely do that to get this thing. Oh, Scale Up would definitely help, but Scale Up is here. We have Scale Up. It's at the bottom. It's hiding there. It's just hiding at the bottom, everyone. It's just hiding. Okay, so let's say we have a sideboard. The sideboard is going to be composed of some Spell Pierce, some Distortion Strike, because we have to change the main deck. Then you can have Mystical Dispute. You can definitely have some Viridian Corruptor for the Tron decks. You know, blow up the Oblivion Stones. Maybe if you have, like, go Birds of Paradise into this thing, you can destroy an Expedition map on turn 2. That's still valuable as well. I think Dismember is still good for matchups in general, particularly humans. I think that's going to be good because slowing them down is going to be useful. Weather the Storm, just play 4 of these against Burn. That's going to make a huge difference in the matchup. massive difference. Any game where I gained like 9 or more life, my burn opponent, you basically just lost on the spot. I don't think I lost once when I pulled off a Weather the Storm for 9 or more life. So go 4 Weather the Storm. 2. Okay, so 4 Weather the Storm, 2 Veil of Summer. Maybe the Spell Skites all go to the sideboard. So you can have 3 Spell Skites. That's not a problem. So that's 9. Then 2 Dismember. Maybe 2 Viridian Corruptor. I don't know, a Force of Vigor and some Mystical Disputes. And then you can try to round it up from there. And I hope that helps. Tron shouldn't be a bad matchup unless you're talking about Eldrazi Tron. But if you're talking about Eldrazi Tron, then you're going to want more Dismembers. So Dismember will be good in that matchup, slow them down while also, just carrying out your own plan. But definitely have Blossoming Defense. It's good against just basically everything around the board. It's going to be good against humans, good against burn, good against 8-rack. Just more ways of protecting your creatures while also being able to pump the creature up, which I think is going to be more effective than Spellskite. And also, Viridian Corruptor will be good against 8-rack if they are the kind of play, if they're the kind of deck that's running Ensnaring Bridge. So I hope that's valuable. I hope that was useful, and good luck with the deck. And I would highly recommend getting those Inkmoth Nexuses. Either that or put another Infect creature in the main deck somewhere, because I think 8 is too few. That will just make the deck very inconsistent and force you to mulligan way more than you want to. Okay, so deck review, pick. And thanks for submitting the list. Oh, also, before we go any further, one Infect creature, like if you really can't afford the Inkmoth Nexus, I can say you can go with Iron... Is it Ironclaw Mirror? What's the colorless mirror that has Infect? Alpha Mirror. Here it is. Oh. Icor Claw Mirror. This is... and whenever it becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This is a very cheap, easy card to splash as a random Infector in your Infect list if you can't afford the Inkmoth Nexuses right now. You really need 12 Infectors in your deck, or you're going to be inconsistent against basically everything. But so this is a really good, cheap option. Okay, Ugly Hood Rat's deck has been... Ugly Hood Rat, I can't tell for sure, but I think you're really lucky at getting chosen. I think you've learned how to game the system or something. That's all variants. All right, and you said you're having trouble. You need help with control decks, especially blue-white. What is my sideboard missing? You're playing Historic. So we saw this deck before, right? So you have nothing on turn 1. It's not impossible. That's well. Hold on, why do you have Ugin in the same deck as your Vampire deck? And it exiles everything. Why do you need this card? This card looks ridiculous. Destroy all creatures, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. I have 27 lands. Hold on, there are creatures in this deck. So it's like a vampire deck. Your synergy is like awkward, because you have a lot of spells and you're still playing with a lot of wraths. I have 27 lands late game when it stalls. Yes, I see you have 27 lands sideboard. You're not even playing with Thoughtseize. But the thing is, okay, you're like a creature-based deck. What are your good matchups? You're somewhere in between. Okay, so here's my problem with this list. You're somewhere in between wanting to be a control deck and wanting to be a creature-based deck. Like the deck, you can beat elves and goblins. Well, yeah, I'm sure you can just by playing like a Wrath of God. But you might as well just be an Orzhov control deck of some sort. And instead of trying to win with these cards, you gain life somehow. I mean, I don't mind Silver Smoke Ghoul, so long as you can sacrifice everything and they can all come back from the graveyard. Well, it's a very weird control deck with Legion Lieutenant. Ugly Hoodrat says, I am control. This is a lot of creatures for a control deck. Now, Silver Smoke Ghoul, I don't mind, because if it dies to the Cleansing Nova, the Wrath of God, the Shadow of the Sky, it can come back. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this thing. Like, this doesn't have synergy. And then your Sorens are a bit... Well, Soren is not super awkward. Yeah, I know you have only 14 creatures, but it's still a lot. Like, okay, how about this? This creature doesn't belong in the deck because it's a Lord. This card only gets better when you have other, like a large density of creatures in the deck. You do not have a large density of creatures in the deck. You have a very small density of creatures in the deck. Okay, I will. Okay, I'm not going to criticize this. You want help against control? Play Thoughtseize. Do you have Thoughtseize? You do not have Thoughtseize. You have to attack your opponent's hand before like it gets out of control. Play Rest in Peace so that Uro cannot get like it cannot do anything. But I don't know if Rest in Peace is the best option. You have Tormod's Crypt here. Yeah, Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is a good card. It's legal in Historic. You definitely play Thoughtseize. Like, Thoughtseize is very good in the matchup because you can clear the way for your more powerful spells. What else? Yeah, Rest in Peace will definitely help, especially against any Uro deck. What else can I say? Does 3 damage target any target and you gain 3 life? Gift Reborn Ether. You're running white. There's no white black. It would be nice if you could run your own Titan, but you know what? You're going to run Thoughtseize anyway. I say you're going to run Rest in Peace anyway. Hey, you know what? If Ugly Hoodrat's deck functions like this, all the more power to him. I have no problem. So the feedback is need help against control. So some good control cards, you know, controlling their hand makes a big difference. I would definitely play with Thoughtseize in a control matchup. I don't know if there's any creature lands that you can use. No, this is Historic, right? This is for Historic. So there's no there aren't any creature lands available in this format, unfortunately. Not yet, at least not yet. Satamane says maybe the game plan is to jailbait the opponent into thinking they're playing against aggro. That's what happens. Like, you know, that's a legitimate thing. And like I like the Silver Smoke Ghoul in a list like this because you can get the creature back if it dies. And I just wish there were more creatures like this that you can just sacrifice willy-nilly to like Sorin and also to your sweepers because they can come back later, right? But a lot of these don't come back. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Well, actually, Legion's Landing also needs the right density of creatures. Shadow Walker asked about Legion's Landing, but you need like 3 creatures on the battlefield to get really good use out of it and then attack. I don't think Bloodghast is legal in Historic yet. Remember, it's Historic. This is not Modern. And also, like, Historic actually is pretty clunky, so I can definitely see something happening here. So I would just say, yeah, I'm not going to say anything about your main deck. If it's working fine, it's working fine. So I'll just say try Thoughtseize, like try Hand Disruption, because if you can stop them from doing what they want to do, then that will be a huge bonus. And I hope Relic, I hope Rest in Peace works. It might not because it will eat up your graveyard a little bit, but you are actually not that dependent on your graveyard because you only have the Silver Smoke Ghoul. Well, it's a control deck. It looks slow because it's a control deck. It's just a bizarre control deck because it's playing with some creatures. That's all. Oh, Netriac has a great idea, and I believe that is legal and Historic. Phyrexian Arena is actually a really good idea. That's not bad. More Planeswalkers might help. How backbreaking are any of these when they resolve? This is not that great, honestly. Like you might want to adjust your planeswalkers to be good in a control matchup. Does it have the black land that draws and loses life? That's a good question. Yeah, it has Castle Lochwain. Yeah, we have the castle. The castle! The castle is here. You have so many white mana sources just for this hour of revelation. Way more than black sources. Well, anyway, that's all the feedback that I can give. I hope it's useful. Unique list. And I know it looks contradictory, but like actually I can understand it working because I have played against other decks that were somewhat creature based, but they still played sweepers and stuff like that and really because it's like a catch-all card for them. If the opponent overextends, they can wrath and they still have good value creatures later on. And you certainly have a lot of planeswalkers that hopefully can make the difference. So between Phyrexian Arena and Thoughtseize, I actually think that, and also maybe Rest in Peace, pending the control deck that you're up against. Because if they can't get Uro on the battlefield, then their deck just does nothing. So I hope that was useful. Ugly Hood Rat, good luck to you. And let us know how it works out. And you are a true brewer. You got like something new almost every day. We got Lockhart's deck list. What the hell is this? Okay. Oh, hold on. I'll get it. What is the form? I don't know what I'm looking at. Shrine. Oh, we have a Shrines deck. Okay. Hundin of Cleansing Fire. Well, okay. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, Hundin of Cleansing Fire. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life for each shrine you control. That's probably just going to be good in general against things like Burn, basically. Maybe even, depending how many shrines you have out, it'll also help against, what's it called? Prowess. Hundin of Infinite Rage at the beginning of your upkeep. This one's legendary, though. This one's also legendary. At the beginning of your upkeep, Infinite Rage deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of shrines you control. Life's Web. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token onto the battlefield for each shrine you control. Beginning of your upkeep, target opponent discards a card for each shrine you control. I think this one's the weakest by a very large margin, because by the time you get to 4 mana, it's not that relevant. Your opponent might even have an empty hand by that point. Well, I mean, I know you can ramp it out. We saw a few of them, so we'll get to it. Yeah, they're all legendary, unfortunately. And Hundin of Seeing Winds, which is, by the way, you draw a card for each shrine you control. Paradox Haze, enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's first upkeep each turn, that player gets an additional upkeep step after this step. So you want to give yourself upkeep steps. Sanctum of All. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library, enter graveyard for a shrine card put onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If an ability or another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. So it's a legendary enchantment shrine that tutors. These are all legendary. Sanctum of Calm Waters. Is this legendary as well? Calm Waters. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. They're all legendary. Oh my god. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add X amount of any one color, where X is the number of shrines you control. Okay, this one I can see is 4 of, because this can help you ramp, which is very important. Discard a land or shrine card. Sanctum of Shattered Height deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, or X is the number of shrines you control. And by the way, G-Hash is watching these things. He's actually put some of these ideas into practice himself. He's looking for the spicy new spicy ideas people are throwing out at us. Sanctum of Stone Fangs. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. This is the cheapest one. I actually might play more of this just because it's cheap. They're all legendary, though. Oh my god. Tap target creature. Its ability costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. Oh. I actually think you should have more of these in the deck. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays X for each of those creatures, because this is not legendary. You have Utopia Sprawl here. Okay, first off, you need more ramp. Okay, so here's my feedback. This costs... Where's the 5 mana? This is a 5 mana one. This is a 4 mana one. I wouldn't play this one. I don't know what you want this against. I just wouldn't play it. I would have more of the tutor, because the tutor actually looks important. Everything else costs less than 5, except the Sphere of Safety. Yeah, we need more. Okay, we need more ramp. It's mostly an enchantment deck, so what's a safe ramp card? What's it called? The oh, you need to keep scrolling. It's more information. Okay, we do have Birds of Paradise. I don't think this is the most ideal ramp card. Oh, an enduring ideal. Search your library for an enchantment card, put it onto the battlefield, put it into play, then shuffle your library. An epic. You can do it every single turn until you kill the opponent. Anger of the Gods, Leyline of Sanctity, Leyline of the Void, On Thin Ice, Veil of Summer. Shrines are back, baby! It's the only feedback we have. Okay, how many things cost 3 mana? 4, 4. This might be a none of. If you have one of these, it might be a none of. Okay, having one of this, I guess, is fine. Okay, well, I need some help. Utopia, Bird, Noble, Growth Spiral. There's also... This doesn't help the curve that great. What's it called? What's the 0/3 with Hexproof? That's also an enchantment. Unfortunately, I don't think we get a little bit of synergy with this one. No, not Dryad of the Elysian Grove. It's not a mana dork. It's a 0/3 basically wall with hexproof, but I don't remember what it's called. Come on, everyone, help me out here. Sylvan Caryatid, that's right. Defender, hexproof. Oh, I thought this was an enchantment for some reason. Okay, I'm wrong. So that's why I confused everyone. It was from an enchantment set, but is not actually an enchantment. But the thing about this one is you still have a pretty top-heavy curve for the most part, and this just guarantees that you get there. Grazer might be fine too. You know, like mana dorks that you can afford to lose, basically. Ramp cards that you can afford to lose. Okay, what the hell is the mana base for this? Breeding Pool, Hall of Heliod's Generosity, Overgrown Tomb, Prismatic Vista. Looks like a very unstable mana base, like a super unstable mana base. Okay, so first off, let's just copy a mana base that works really well. Niv to Light. Oh, this is not modern. Modern. This is not really the list I was looking for either. I'll just put Niv Modern. Okay, MTG Top 8, help me here. Okay, take all my cookies. Okay, 22 lands. They use Breeding Pool, Overgrown Tomb, Pillars of Perunes. Spend... Oh, but it can only be spent on multicolor spells, so that's useless. I can't help but feel like this mana base is bad. Like, you need more fetch lands. Like, this mana base is not sustainable. Okay, so G-Hash says Dryad of the Elysian Grove might be like a really good card for this deck. So you can get additional lands onto the battlefield, and also this card will fix your mana as well. I can only guess that it's modern because I didn't see any other information. It's just shrine.deck. I'm guessing it's modern because I mean these are just full of shrines. Like these cards aren't legal in any other format. I'm gonna leave all these choices alone for the most part. I don't know what we got to take out. I would not be. I really don't think that I would look at cutting this, maybe cutting this. Because like this is pointless early on in the game. Is more useful later on in the game. This card also might be very useless early on in the game. Or maybe you got to balance out like because they're all legendary, which is very scary. Oh, I've never played Historic, but I think they put the shrines in there. Is this Historic then? You don't want ramp that puts lands from the hand into play because you need to keep the lands for the Red Sanctum, which will keep the creatures at bay. Where's the Red Sanctum here? At the beginning of your upkeep, Rage deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of shrines you control. So hold on. So we can't. Oh, the other red shrine. There's more than one red shrine. Discard a land or shrine card. It deals Sanctum, Shatter, whatever. Deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of shrines you control. I wouldn't try to win with this, to be honest. I think this is a crappy win condition. Okay, well, no, okay, it's not, okay, maybe, okay, forget that. It's actually good at killing the creatures. So you want to save the lands? Then you need to just play with way more lands. How many lands do we have? I mean, in that case, I would just play with more less birds of paradise, more lands. This is very tough to give feedback without actually playing this deck myself. But it looks very clunky. It's super, super clunky. Maybe just play cheap sweepers to keep you till the late game. That's actually a really good idea. Like, okay, hold on. What are we missing here? There was one all-knowing tutor. Sanctum of All. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and graveyard for a shrine card, put it onto the battlefield. I think this is your win condition for the most part, and you should have 4 of these. Like, this shouldn't be a 2 of. This should be a 4 of. Because once this enters the battlefield, every turn you're getting closer to just locking your opponent out and winning the game, right? So I think we should be much heavier on this card, and I really like the idea of just having regular cards. Like, let's just play with, like, we're sort of a control deck, right? So let's just play some regular control cards. I think you could sacrifice 8 cards in this deck for sweepers. It's possible. Because everything's pretty clunky. Everything's pretty clunky. Like, even this thing is clunky. I know it comes out on play turn 1, but you're never... Tapping one creature is not relevant. Yeah, but you can still play a prison deck with other control cards. It doesn't need to be 100% enchantments. What am I looking at here? I think you need to have more fetch lands. This looks very unstable. 1 breeding pool, 1 overgrown tomb. Like, even how many green sources do you have for your Utopia Sprawl? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess you have enough, but it's really close. Oh yeah, you are a prison deck. Triomes look actually very good for this list, but we got to be careful with look at which ones, how many, because actually Triomes might be way better than the Stomping Ground and the Temple Garden. But the problem is Prismatic Vista can't go get them. Kano has something to share here. So here's a very similar looking list. Well, not really. It's very different. It's an Enduring Ideal list. Why am I so close here? Let's back up. So this is another version of Enduring Ideal, but it's playing with a lot cheaper cards for the most part. Phyrexian Unlife, Perfrino. So this is just a very different list. I know this is how like most Enduring Ideal lists play out. So how to make this one though more effective? And it would be nice if there was some way to loot away the bad or the legendary enchantments that you already have. I would test 2 Fable Passage, 2 Idyllic Tutors. Oh yeah, Idyllic Tutor. Forgot about that card. Consistency. This is reasonable. It's sort of awkward because you don't want to spend your turn doing this. You ideally by turn 3 you're already like playing your enchantments. Because I don't like we're already taking turn 1 and turn 2 off on this deck for the most part. I don't know how reliable Birds of Paradise is in this deck. I would really like you to get some value out of your like your mana dorks. Like I would definitely prefer either the what's it called? Sylvan Caryatid to get to your 4 and 5 mana drops faster, or you play with the Arboreal Grazer. Because Birds of Paradise is just going to get... What am I spelling wrong here? Arboreal? Was it just Boreal Grazer? There we go. No, oh, it's Arboreal. So because the thing is, at least you'll get a land onto the battlefield when you play Arboreal Grazer. And then if it dies, who cares? And also, I really like the fact that this creature helps you get to the long game because it puts a body on the battlefield that can block. So I'm more of a support for Arboreal Grazer over Birds of Paradise, which is going to be very bad at blocking. When it's not reliable ramp because your opponent can just kill, bolt the bird effectively, and you really cannot afford to be missing your land drops. You just cannot. Not in this list. Your curve is way too high. So with a really high curve, same thing with like what's it called, Niv to Light. But they also have in Niv to Light to close the bridge between the start of the game to the point where they play Bring to Light or Niv Mizzet. They have a lot of removal. I would definitely play some removal outside of these enchantments. And I would definitely just play 4 of these so that you can find the one of everything else. Because the thing is, like, they're all legendary, so you're going to be in a lot of situations where you have multiples of these in your hand, and it's just effectively card disadvantage. Whereas this one's not going to be that bad having 4 of them in your hand, because once it's on the battlefield every single turn, right? At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a shrine card put onto the battlefield. So every single turn, you're going to be progressively getting another one of these things and then lock out your opponent. And you just have to hold off until then. But anyway, I think that's the only feedback I can give. It's very awkward giving feedback for this type of deck that's so top-end heavy because I have a feeling that you need help on the earlier portions of the game so that you can reach your late game. Because if you don't reach the late game, it's pointless, right? You're going to lose. In Modern, you're just going to lose very often because you're going to get raced by Burn. You're going to get raced by Prowess. And, turn 4, you can put in, what's it called? What do we have here? At the beginning of your pre-combat main... No, this is not the one I was looking for. Like, this only works once you have 4 mana in play. Or your 4... Or I guess Because like if you tap out to play this thing on that turn, it won't actually do very much. Where is it? Like even this one, put a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token onto the battlefield for each shrine you control. By turn 4 to 5, that might be too late. I mean, your opponent has already killed you. Same thing with Sphere of Safety. You could be dead before the moment you put this thing onto the battlefield. So you definitely need well, I think for a lot of combo decks, this deck has Leyline of Sanctity, so that's fine, and Leyline of the Void. Maybe go up on those. So you got Anger of the Gods. Put it in the main deck. And then play cards that you don't get punished for. Like, if you play Arboreal Grazer over Birds of Paradise, getting hit by Anger of the Gods is not going to be nearly so bad. Or you play more Enchantment Ramp or something like that. But anyway, that's all the feedback I can give on that list. Interesting, very interesting list, but very clunky, and I think you really need some help on the earlier turns of the game to help bridge the gap to the late portion of the game. Hope that was valuable, though. Hope that's going to help. Hopefully one day you can make this into something. Okay, so that's it for... Well, it is slow, but that's the thing. That's the feedback we got to give to help speed it up and also make it less slow on the top end. But one way or another, that's going to be it for today. So for everyone watching live, we're going to be now going into gameplay. I guess I'm going to have a vote whether you want to play Modern or you want to play, what's it called, Historic on Arena. So don't forget we're going to stream. But for everyone watching on the replay at home on YouTube, that's it for Coffee and MTG. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. Reminder, we're doing this earlier, starting tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot less viewers because a lot of people are going to forget that, we have a new time, but that is the new time that we got to be here. If you're a morning riser, that's going to be good. If you are at work right now and you could never see the show, maybe it's going to be early enough that you can catch it. So hopefully I can see you there. I hope this is not going to be too bad for anybody. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. I guess I'll remind you of my sponsors. Going to thank the manabase.com and Mana Traders. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master, here with Coffee and MTG, and I will see you all at the next cup. Take care. I'll see you next time.